Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying with your Misiura. Today I'm going to tie a wet fly, and this wet fly is actually meant to imitate a small bait fish, and this is the silver butcher. And you can tie these from size 8 to 14, and the hook that I'm using is a Lively Legs number 473. This is a size 10, and this is 2 extra long Nymph hook. It's a nice size for this particular fly. I'm going to use some black thread. I should have enough on there. And we're going to start the thread and put a base of thread down on the shank. I'm going to get a little bit conservative with my thread there. Yep, I guess not. Sometimes when you pull it, you don't have it tight enough, and that's what happens. There we go. We're going to start out with the tail, and the tail we're going to use red. And this is a red, probably a goose feather dyed red. And I took a slip of that, and this slip is the size of the gap. We're going to take that and we're going to let that hang off about maybe 1/2 the length of the hook shank. We're going to hold it right on top. We're going to take that loose loop, we're going to pull that straight down, and you see that front pop up, and we're going to give it a couple more wraps right there. Keep that right on top. There we go. Now I'm going to trim this, but I'm going to trim it up to, I'm going to go about 1.5 eye lengths, trim it to about 1.5 eye lengths from the eye. And this is going to keep a level body for us. Now for the rib, I'm going to use an oval silver tinsel. This is actually a medium. And again, with that tinsel, I'm going to leave that tinsel tag the same length as the tag from the tail. And then we're going to wrap this forward. And we'll wrap everything. And sometimes if you have trouble with the materials floating or pulling over to the other side, just keep your fingers on it there to keep it on top. You can take a couple of larger wraps there and then go back to just secure that. The point is you want to keep that level. Now for the body, I'm going to use a silver and gold tinsel, and there's a number 14. A bigger size, a number 10 would be good too. This is going to be the body. And I'm going to tie this in with the large amount. The tag is going to be towards the front. I'm going to tie that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of turn whip finish right there. 2 is fine. I'm going to put this thread in my bobbin cradle. And then holding my tinsel, I'm going to rotate my hook. Take that to the rear. Keeping tight turns there. The reason why we wrap to the front and then back again, this way you're going to ensure that you don't have any spaces at all between the wraps. And when you're getting old like me and your eyes aren't working as great, That's a big help. I'm going to tie that off right there. Put a wrap in front of it, pull it back and put a wrap or two in there. And then we can trim off that excess. Now I'm going to take the oval tinsel and I'm going to counter wrap that, being the opposite direction I wrapped my flat tinsel. And we're going to palmer that, meaning open spaces, just like a barber pole. And we're going to keep that tight. We're going to tie that off. Now, because this oval tinsel is so large, I'm going to trim that, and I'm going to trim it a little bit at an angle here. But I left a small amount on there so I can kind of taper it off. And this way I won't get a big step there because of the size of the tinsel. For the hackle, I'm going to use a black rooster hackle. And I gave it the crew cut there. We're going to just take that and we're going to give that a couple of wraps. I'm going to stroke the feathers towards the rear as I'm going. They just give this a couple of spins there. That'll be easier for me. So I got 3 wraps there. I'm going to tie that. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove that excess. Take my poke and snip in there. Now I'm going to gather all of the hackle and bring it down to the bottom. I got one wild one there. Okay, we could get that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lick my fingers and I'm going to pull everything down and pull it all to the bottom there. You can see I have it all towards the bottom. Then I could come back on them with the thread, and I'm keeping everything on the bottom. There's a couple of them a little bit out of place there. There we go, they kind of stayed at the top there. I'll just trim those couple off. Now for the wing, we want mallard wing blues. I have a right mallard feather and a left mallard wing feather. And you can see the nice, beautiful colors on them. And I took a slip and I sized them up. You can see right there is the cut. But I sized them up before I put anything on. You touch the feather to the shank, poke your hook blade through, and there's the size of your wing. That probably isn't right because I pushed on it. But I have 2 slips here. And here's a nice little tip for you. I have the 2 slips and they are face up, color side is up. Go ahead and lick my fingers and get them together, and now I have them in my fingers, and then pinch them together and we have our matched slips. We're going to size that up. I want that to be at least into the tail. You could actually have it a little bit longer than the tail. So there we go. I'm going to hold this tight on top. I'm going to give it a loose loop and we're going to pull that straight down. Again, straight down. And you can see there I got 1 barb. There was 1 barb that was broke off. Give that a couple of turns there. We had 2. There we go. Now I got it enough where I can trim that nice and close. I'm going to take this. Just be careful you don't trim away, don't cut into your thread. There we go. Now we can form the head. And clean that head up. There we go. Add one little piece of feather fuzz there. And we're going to go ahead and give that a whip finish. Take the whip finish, put the hook over the thread around the camel hump, bring it back, and then invert it. And here's our X. We bring that X down to the hook shank and rotate it 2, 3 times, 3 to 6. I always use 3. Never really have any problems with the heads coming apart. Tighten that up. Take that poke and snip in there. Now I'm going to put some head cement on there, but for this particular one, marry that wing back together there a little bit. Okay, there's one that's not acting right. See if we get that married together. Okay, when it's fishing, it's going to get messed up anyway. I'm going to take UV Cure and put some UV Cure on this head. And for this particular one, all I'm going to use is UV Knot Sense. It's UV Cure. It's going to work just the same. And this has a nice little applicator type head there. And I'm going to get a little bit of it on my wing. You can see I'm using very little, and this is going to level out on its own there. I'm going to take a bodkin needle if needed. Get just a little bit on that wing there. A very small amount. Clean that off a little bit. And that's going to help hold that wing together. I'm going to rotate it for it to level out. I'm going to take my UV light, and a couple of seconds is all you need. And it looks like there's a little piece of fuzz on there. I'll get that after it's cured. And that's cured. Then we'll pull that off. And here we have a silver butcher. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. If you or your friends subscribe, please hit the notify button so you don't miss any of my videos. Please visit my sponsors and let them know that I sent you. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase any flies from me, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see it there, just send me a message through Etsy and I will get right back to you. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.